Imagine a race so disastrous, so chaotic, and so stupid that it nearly killed half the people who participated. No, this isn't a Saw movie. This was the actual men's marathon at the 1904 Olympics in St. Louis. Modern marathons have water stations, medical teams, and paved roads. The 1904 marathon had dust. Clouds of it. The organizers wanted to test purposeful dehydration, so they only provided 2 water stations for the entire 24.8-mile course in 90-degree heat. 32 runners started. Only 14 finished. The rest were victims of raw eggs, wild dogs, and rat poison. Let's look at the absolute disaster that was the 1904 Olympic Marathon. First, meet Felix. He was a Cuban postman who fundraised his ticket to the U.S., lost all his money gambling in New Orleans, and had to hitchhike to St. Louis. He arrived at the starting line minutes before the gun went off. He wasn't wearing running gear. He was wearing dress shoes, heavy-wool trousers, and a long-sleeve shirt. A spectator felt bad for him and used scissors to cut his pants into shorts, right there on the track. Despite having no training, Felix was actually doing well. Until he got hungry. Because there was no food or water, he stopped at an orchard mid-race to eat some apples. The apples were rotten. Felix got massive stomach cramps and passed out on the side of the road for a nap. And somehow, he was still not the craziest part of this race. While Felix was napping, things were getting dangerous for everyone else. The race took place on dirt roads, but these roads weren't close to traffic. Cars drove alongside the runners, kicking up massive clouds of dust. One runner, William Garcia, inhaled so much dust that his esophagus coated in mud and ripped his stomach lining. He collapsed coughing up blood and nearly died on the track. Then there were the runners from South Africa, Len Tau and Jan Mashiane. They were the first black Africans to compete in the modern Olympics. They were incredibly fast and should have won easily. So why didn't they? Well, Len Tau was chased 1 mile off course by a pack of wild, angry dogs. He literally had to run for his life in the wrong direction. He still managed to finish 9th, which is a miracle considering he was fighting off the local wildlife. At the front of the pack, we had Fred Loers. Fred was an American runner who reached the 9-mile mark and decided, you know what, I'm done. He had horrible cramps. So he did what any Olympian would do. He hopped into his manager's car. Fred sat in the passenger seat, waving at the other runners as he breezed past them for the next 11 miles. But then the car broke down. Refreshed from his nice drive, Fred hopped out and jogged the final few miles to the finish line. He broke the tape. The crowd went wild. Alice Roosevelt, the president's daughter, was about to put the gold medal around his neck. Just as the ceremony started, someone shouted, "Hey, that guy was in a car." Fred claimed it was just a joke. The officials didn't find it funny. They banned him for life, although they lifted the ban a year later. So, if Fred the cheater was disqualified, who actually won? Enter Thomas Hicks. But Hicks wasn't running anymore. He was shuffling. By mile 10, Hicks was exhausted. His handlers decided to give him a little boost. But this was 1904. They didn't have Gatorade. Instead, they fed him a mixture of egg whites, brandy, and strychnine. Yes, strychnine. Rat poison. In small doses, it acts as a stimulant. In large doses, it kills you. They gave him several doses. By the last mile, Hicks was hallucinating. He thought the finish line was 20 miles away. His face was gray. He could not lift his legs. His trainers literally carried him across the finish line, his feet dragging in the dirt. Technically, he didn't even run across the line. But the judges looked at this half-dead man full of rat poison and brandy and said, close enough. Thomas Hicks lost 8 pounds during the race and had to be carried out on a stretcher. He won the gold medal and retired immediately. The 1904 marathon remains the slowest winning time in Olympic history, and easily the weirdest. If you want more history that sounds like fiction, hit subscribe to Archive Doc File. We're digging up the files they tried to forget.